Okay, guys, this is hello. It's me over here, broadcasting from Lytton Studios at his home. Going to give you some class updates here and assignments, and let you know what's going on for the remainder of the term. First of all, I want to talk to you a little bit about your previous assignments. I have got your reader response graded. I'm in the middle of grading the midterm. Biggest problem I've got is trying to get those back to you. They made me bug out of my office, and we are all, faculty and staff, are barred from coming on the campus even. It's really strange. But the problem is that my scanner is up there. I've got a scanner here at the house, but it's really a crummy scanner. I don't do a lot of scanning at my own home. So I'm going to see what I can do there. The grades for the Reader Response 1 are up now, but I really want to give you some feedback. And what I wanted to do is wanted to give you a copy of your paper, right? And with my marginal notes and things like that. And then also, so I want to scan that in and then give you some comments via email about the paper. And I wanted to do sort of the same thing with the midterm, maybe without as many comments, but at least let you see what you've got there, not just look up on Canvas, see what your deadgum grade is. I wanted to give you some feedback. Still trying to figure out how to do that. I'm going to work on that, see if I can't find some way to speed up the scanning process and everything. But suffice to say that your grades for the reader response are up. The grade for the midterm will be up probably in about 24 hours or so, maybe a little bit less. But it's going to be a little while before I figure out how to get all the paper back to you, so that you can see that and get that feedback. I'm working on it, though. In the meantime, I have posted the reader response number 2 assignment and the final exam question bank. The reader response number 2 assignment gives you a choice between 2 different topics to write on. I'm going to recommend that you try to get that submitted to us to me as soon as possible. It's got a due date there in the syllabus, and that's a little bit off. But given the fact that we still have our team assignment to do and the final exam to do, you're going to want to knock one of these out fairly soon. So I know that there's a lot coming at us here at the end of the term. My recommendation is, as soon as that baby's up, start thinking about it, and it's up right now. The feedback that I want to give you on the reader responses in particular, the first version, is just a few pointers in general. Everybody's going to get some individualized feedback sooner or later, as soon as I can get it going. A few things I'd point out. Number one, just little things like making sure that you proofread very carefully for some fairly obvious errors that existed. It's not a formal, big, heavy research paper. It doesn't need any outside sources, but you do want to give it a good proofreading. You don't want any glaring typos, misspelled words, mechanical problems, grammatical problems in there. It isn't, it is a piece of college level writing, so you need to make sure you're doing that. You want to give it a title. You wouldn't name your kid Offspring. Would you? I mean, Progeny, would you? You give them a real name. So you give it a title, for goodness sakes. Put the heading up in the upper left-hand corner with your name, my name, class, and date in that order. It is good if you can cite the page numbers. You don't have to put anything other than a parenthetical page number cite. If it's clear from your text which author and book you're talking about, you just need the page number inside the text, inside of the parenthetical. A few other things. One, I would go out of your way to make sure that you're offering an argument. And when you argue for something or try to prove a proposition, you have to offer evidence for it. I'm pointing this out because a lot of people sort of offered in their reader response kind of a summary of the work they were looking at or discussing. You don't need to summarize. You can assume that you and I and everybody else read the same novel. Here's how I want you to look at it. I want you to look at it as though we all just went and saw the same movie, and afterwards we're going out to Jupiter House for some coffee to talk about it. You wouldn't want somebody at the table to say, hey, you know what happened in the movie? Well, there was this guy, and what he did was, and then this happened, and then this happened. You're going, dude, we saw the same movie. We were sitting right in the same row with you. You don't need to retell the story, okay? So some people were kind of doing that. That's really just wasting your time. It doesn't help you. It doesn't advance. You're trying to prove a proposition. You don't want to waste time sort of going over what happened in the novel, because that's just called plot summary, and it doesn't get you anywhere, Okay? I mean, it's just kind of taking up space. Instead, what you want to do is to be very clear early on in the piece. What is it you're trying to prove? What's the argument you're trying to make? What proposition are you proving? Okay? And then line up pieces of evidence from the text or texts that prove that proposition, that substantiate that argument. So direct quotations from the text, specific scenes, specific events, specific techniques or things that the author does or uses. And be able to go exactly in there and say, this is my proposition. This is the first reason why I'm right. Because in this particular chapter, we see X. Here's a direct quotation. And then don't just dump a quote in my lap, right? Tell me why the quote, why the example proves what you're proving, okay? What does it show? What does it illustrate? How does connect the thing that you're offering up as a piece of evidence to the general proposition so that you have a very clear case that you're making. So it's kind of like making a case, like prosecuting somebody. If you want to look at it that way, it's fine with me. Okay. So that's the job that you have for this. It's not a research piece, but hey, it is something that it is an intellectual argument you're trying to make, and to prove your case, you have to use evidence and you have to tell us how the evidence supports the main proposition or thesis statement, whatever you want to say. Okay. A few other kind of observations that I might offer. Be sure when you're proofreading that you are writing sentences that have clarity to them. Clarity and simplicity are so much more preferable than language that is highfalutin sounding and fancy sounding, but I can't figure out what you're saying, right? And I'm trying to be kind here. Everybody does it. Don't want to inflate your language and inflate your diction to the point where I kind of scratch my head and say what? What do you say? Right? It's so much better just to be simple and direct and logical than to try to impress people with fancy wording. Okay? Because then you just lose your reader because you're going, hey, I don't understand what you just said. I think I get your point, but I'm really not sure. You don't want to ever leave your reader in that kind of circumstance. Okay? So several points there. Most of you guys did very, very well. I'm still trying to figure out, like I said, how to get this back without a decent scanner. They won't even let me go to the office and spend 20 minutes scanning stuff. They won't even let me in there. I don't know why. I'm not going to catch the virus from the computer, although you can catch viruses from computers, but not this one. And so basically, the other thing I'd probably add is you don't need to spend an awful lot of time introducing the topic. You can get straight to what you're trying to prove. But at the end, you do want to wrap it up. You don't want to just end the piece just abruptly, like, I'm done, okay. So some level of readability to it, right? So those are most of my responses on that. In terms of the midterm, what I'm seeing is that people are identifying the term or the character or whatever, but they're not really telling me much about why the item is significant, why it's important, why it was important to the novel, what it meant. Okay? So people say, well, here's what this thing is. Well, remember that if you want the full credit for those identification sections, you've got to give me why the thing is significant. Now, I'll pretty much buy any argument you make about why something's significant, as long as it's not kind of crazy. But you got to give me something to work with, right? So if you just simply say, this is the character in The Handmaid's Tale who did blank. Well, okay, well, why was doing blank important? Right? Why was that important to? What was significant about the character? Why was the character pivotal or important or significant? Or what did she do that was crucial to the novel, or something going on in there? Right? You got to give me something to work with there on that. Okay, so I'll get the midterm grades up. I'm going to try my best to try to figure out how to get this going assembly line style to get it back to you. I've got an idea. I'll see if it works, but the grades will be up now. So that's my advice on Reader Response 2 and my feedback, general feedback and observations concerning Reader Response 1 in the midterm. The final exam question bank is now up in Canvas. You're going to want to take a look at that. Remember, I told you that I was going to give you 5 questions, and you're not going to know which 2 I'm going to select. I was going to select those 2 the day of. Okay? Well, the selecting the 2 actual questions on the day of is still legit, but I decided to go with just 4 questions because I don't want you spending a lot of time preparing on this. We're just short of time, guys, and you know that. You're feeling it as well as everybody else is. So I put the question bank at four questions, and I'm going to select 2 of those questions. Please read the instructions for that final exam, which is on the final exam question bank handout up in Canvas, very carefully. So I'm going to post which 2 of the 4 questions. You've got all 4 of them in front of you now, so you can start preparing and thinking about them and sketching your ideas out. I'm going to post which ones by email. I'm going to tell you which ones. It's going to be number 1 and number 3, or number 2 and number 4, or number 1 and number 4, or whatever it is, by 8 o'clock on May the 7th. And you will have until a specified time on May the 8th. Okay? So I'm not going to give you 48 hours, but I'm going to give you the better part of 2 days to complete the final exam. I think that's only fair. Plus, I don't know how many other final exams you guys have and what they're doing to you. And, I want to give you some flexibility. You have to promise me, though, that you will not actually spend 48 hours writing these. Okay? Don't do that, because I don't need a novel out of you. We're reading novels. We're not writing them. Okay? I think that with each of those 2 questions, if you've done some thinking and some preparing, and prayer, maybe prayer too, thinking and preparing in advance, sketching out your ideas about how you would answer 1, 2, 3, or 4 if those were the ones that were asked, then you really don't need to spend more than about an hour apiece on each of them. You're going to type them up in Word format, and you're going to email them to me just like they were a paper for the class to my Yahoo account. All the instructions are there, and they're ready for you. Okay? A couple of other final things that I'm going to leave you with is, number 1, you may have noticed that the quiz grades on Canvas that were posted up there for the quizzes we've done up to the time when we left are now gone. I'm going to have to research this because they updated Canvas, and when they did that, some things disappeared. Now, don't panic, okay? Don't panic. But that's what happens when you put all your grades online and they decide to upgrade the software and update the software, and I'm still working with the IT people to see if they can't go back in time and find those grades for me. They should be somewhere, I've been told, okay? Don't worry about it. That will not be held against anybody. But I'm that's why they're not there. So some people were like, where are my quizzes? Good question. I'm looking for them. And so is the IT guy. So as soon as I'm able to get him to go back in time, and he's going to have to work on that for me, hopefully this week. Everything that you've turned in since we went online, I still have, not a problem. It's in my email. Okay. But because I don't have a paper grade book, when Canvas burps like that, and it's missing. They've got to go get the Sherlock Holmes nerd to go find where the clues are. Okay, we're working on that. Don't worry about it though. Okay, don't anybody worry about all that. The last thing I'm going to leave you with here, and I'll keep updating you by email. I just want to do this real quick so that you could hear me say it and explain it to you in a little bit more depth. You will have noticed that everybody is going to be given an option to do pass-fail for their courses this term. That's something that the TW Cabinet and the Chancellor were very adamant about, that people be allowed to do that. Let me just tell you that you can do that for any class you want to, but there are some really serious repercussions that you need to think about before you do it. This is an honors class. In order to earn credit for an honors class, you have to get a B or better in the class, or you don't get honors credit, and it doesn't count towards your honors requirements. Now, how are you going to do that if you choose the pass-fail option? If you say, I do not need the honors credit for this class, I'm just going to take the class, I'll worry about my honors credit, or I got plenty of honors credits, or I'm just not going to worry about that, I'm just going to do this to fulfill the core, and I'll figure out, I've got plenty of credits and whatnot, that's fine. But if you want to get honors credit for this, then you cannot choose the pass-fail option, because otherwise we can't document that you made a B or better. And by the way, if you have that kind of situation in some classes that you're taking that are necessary for your major, where you have to have a certain minimum grade, I am recommending that you not do the pass-fail option on those classes, because if you have to have a B or better to get in, or a C or better to get into a particular major, to apply for upper division major of some sort, whatever it may be, and you take the pass-fail option, they may say you got to take it again and get the grade that we tell you got to have. Okay, so I want you to think about that very carefully. Ask your advisor lots of questions about that, but generally speaking, if there is a degree requirement or certainly with honors, you've got to have the actual letter grade. And if you choose the pass-fail option, that may not work for you, and you would end up having to retake or to take something else. So I'm just trying to save you some effort on that. Last thing I'm going to tell you also is we're trying to get everybody to make sure that you get your advising done, you sign up for your classes, etc. Hopefully everybody's done that. If you have some difficulty with that, the best way to get in touch with Honors right now is send an email to honors@twu.edu. Jessica and Kristen and all of us are checking that daily, and it sometimes takes a little bit of time to get back with people, but we're trying to get back with people within about 24 to 36 hours. It's just that we're all in separate locations, and it's a pain in the butt trying to communicate with each other. We're doing it, but it's a bit. I'm behind on a lot of stuff, trying to get caught up, trying to get you guys across the finish line. If you have some serious problems, make sure you remember, email me at my Yahoo account, because the TWU account is as clogged up as a bad sink. Okay. It's, I've got a bunch of junk in there that it's hard for me every morning to get through and figure out what do I got to answer right now and what can I wait on. But I don't want you to have to wait. So if you have a question being in my class, you email me at the Yahoo account, you'll get an answer right away. Okay. I don't want you having to wait in line behind a whole bunch of people because I didn't notice you were in there. Right. That's all I'm saying. Okay. All right. So get working if you can on reader response number 2. You'll be getting your feedback as quick as I can figure it out. I'm going to try to decode the issue or the problem with the gradebook with Canvas. We'll recover that. Don't worry. If we don't, I'll work out an equitable situation for everybody. Don't worry about it, okay? And then finally, do some thinking about that final exam. You might want to take a few minutes every day and kind of sketch out, well, how would I answer this if this is one of the 2 questions, right? Sketch out your thoughts so that you're ready for it. But again, you're going to be given from May 7th, all of the business day, May 7th, all the way through May 8th as well. And you can decide to do that a little bit later if you want to, and start on it later and work on another exam if you're given that earlier, or vice versa. It's up to you. I'm trying to give you some flexibility without overwhelming you. All right? Hang in there, and if you've got some questions, let me know, and I'll be happy to help you. We're almost done, guys. You can do this, okay? It's going to be a real challenge, but you can do it. I'm very proud of the fact that you guys are hanging in there with me, even though I'm not doing my best right now, but I'm trying, okay? We'll see you soon.